Are you depressed? With 8 minutes of prayer power. Are you feeling weighed down by depression? You're not alone. In today's fast-paced world, depression has become something so many of us face, even with all the incredible advancements in medicine and science. It sneaks into our daily lives, quietly casting a shadow over our thoughts, our energy, and our joy. But there's hope, a simple, gentle way to lift that burden, the power of prayer. With just 8 minutes a day, you can invite God's grace into your heart and feel His peace begin to change you. Depression is more common than we often realize. It doesn't care if you're young or old, rich or poor, busy or still. It's that heavy feeling that sits on your chest, the fog that clouds your mind, or the exhaustion that makes even the smallest tasks feel impossible. Doctors can help, therapy can guide us, and medicine can ease the pain. But sometimes we need something more. Something deeper. That's where God comes in. He's always there, waiting to listen, ready to carry what we can't carry alone. Let's explore how just 8 minutes of prayer each day can bring His light into your life and help you step out of the darkness of depression, one small moment at a time. Depression in our modern lives. Let's be real. Life today is a lot. We're juggling work, family, bills, and endless notifications on our phones. We scroll through social media and see everyone else looking happy, successful, and put together, while we're just trying to make it through the day. It's easy to feel like you're falling behind, like you're not enough. And when depression creeps in, it amplifies all of that. Suddenly, getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. Smiling feels like a lie. Even the things you used to love, coffee with a friend, a good book, a walk in the park, lose their color. I've seen it in people around me. My friend Sarah, for example, is a mom of 2 with a full-time job. She's the kind of person who always has a warm smile and a kind word. But one day she told me how she'd been crying in her car before work, not because anything big happened, but because she just couldn't shake this overwhelming sadness. She said, "I don't even know why I feel this way. I have so much to be grateful for, but I'm drowning." That's what depression does. It doesn't always need a reason. It just shows up. Science has come a long way in understanding it. Therapists talk about chemical imbalances in the brain, and doctors prescribe pills to help level things out. Those things can work wonders, and if they're part of your journey, that's a blessing. But even with all that progress, depression still lingers for so many of us. It's like a stubborn weed in a garden. Pull it out one day, and it's back the next. That's why I believe we need more than medicine alone. We need something that touches our soul, something that reminds us we're not fighting this battle by ourselves. That's where prayer steps in, not to replace what doctors do, but to add a layer of strength and peace that only God can give. The gift of 8 minutes. Now you might be thinking, 8 minutes? That's it? How can 8 minutes make a difference when I feel this lost? I get it. It sounds too simple to be true, but think about this. In 8 minutes, you can brew a cup of coffee, scroll through your phone, or take a quick shower. It's not a lot of time, but it's enough to shift something inside you when you give it to God. Prayer isn't about long, fancy words or hours on your knees. It's about opening your heart, even just a crack, and letting Him in. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and that familiar heaviness is already there, pressing down on you before your feet even hit the floor. Instead of pushing through it alone, you sit on the edge of your bed, close your eyes, and whisper, "God, I'm tired. I don't know how to do this today. Please help me." That's it. That's a start. You don't need to say more if you don't want to. Just sit there for a few minutes, breathing, letting those words hang in the air. Maybe you picture His light wrapping around you like a warm blanket. Maybe you just listen to the quiet. In those 8 minutes, you're not fixing everything, but you're handing it over to someone who can. I started doing this myself a while back. I wasn't depressed, but I was stressed. Work was piling up, and I felt like I was failing at everything. One night, I sat on my couch with a cup of tea and just talked to God. I said, "I can't keep up. I need you to take some of this weight." I set a timer for 8 minutes, and when it beeped, I didn't feel magically cured, but I felt calmer, lighter, like I'd shared the load with a friend who wouldn't let me down. Over time, those 8 minutes became my anchor, and I started to see how they could help someone something as big as depression. Why prayer works. Prayer isn't a magic trick. It's not going to zap all your problems away in one go. But it's powerful because it connects you to God, who knows you better than you know yourself. He sees the parts of you that hurt, the parts you hide from everyone else. When you pray, you're not just talking, you're building a bridge between your heart and His. And across that bridge comes peace, strength, and hope. Think about David in the Bible. He's the guy who wrote a lot of the Psalms, those beautiful raw prayers we still read today. David wasn't some perfect king floating through life on a cloud. He had enemies chasing him, friends betraying him, and moments where he felt totally alone. In Psalm 42, he says, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me?" Sounds like depression, doesn't it? But then he turns it around. "Put your hope in God, for I will yet praise Him, my Savior and my God." David didn't pretend the pain wasn't there. He poured it out to God, and in that act, he found a lifeline. That's what those 8 minutes can do for you. They're a chance to say, "God, here's my mess. Here's my sadness. I don't know what to do with it, but I trust you do." And God doesn't leave you hanging. Maybe you'll feel a quiet comfort right away. Maybe it'll take a few days or weeks of showing up for those 8 minutes before you notice a shift. But His grace is at work, softening the edges of your pain, reminding you that you're not alone in this. How to start your 8-minute prayer. If you're new to praying, or even if you've done it before but feel rusty, don't worry. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's about what feels real to you. Here's a simple way to try it. 1. Find a quiet spot. It doesn't have to be fancy. Your bedroom, your car, even a corner of your living room works. Just somewhere you can breathe for a minute without distractions. 2. Set a timer. 8 minutes. That's all you need. Knowing it's short takes the pressure off. 3. Start small. You don't have to have a big speech ready. Say something like, "God, I'm here. I'm struggling. Please help me feel your peace." If words don't come, just sit quietly and think about Him. 4. Be honest. Tell Him what's weighing you down. Maybe it's, "I feel worthless today," or "I'm scared I'll never get better." He can handle it. 5. Listen and rest. After you speak, just sit there. Let your mind settle. You might not hear a voice, but you might feel a nudge of calm, a flicker of hope. Here's an example from my cousin, Mark. He's been battling depression for years, and he told me how he started praying in his truck after work. He'd park, set his phone timer for 8 minutes, and just talk to God about his day. The frustration, the loneliness, the tiredness. Some days he'd cry. Other days he'd just sit there, staring at the dashboard. But he kept at it, and after a couple of months, he said, "It's not like the depression's gone, but it's not as loud. I feel like God's riding shotgun with me now." That's the difference 8 minutes can make. Not a total fix, but a steady hand to hold on to. What you might feel. Don't expect fireworks every time. Some days those 8 minutes will feel like a warm hug. Your heart will lift, and you'll sense God right there with you. Other days, it might feel like nothing's happening. You might still feel sad or empty when the timer beeps. That's okay. Prayer isn't about forcing a feeling. It's about showing up. God's working even when you don't see it, like rain soaking into dry ground before the flowers bloom. Over time, you might notice small changes. Maybe you sleep a little better. Maybe you smile at something silly your kid says, and it's the first real smile in weeks. Maybe you start to believe just a tiny bit that you're worth more than the depression tells you. Those moments are God's grace breaking through, little by little. A story of hope. Let me tell you about Lisa, someone I met at church. She's in her 40s, a nurse, and a single mom. A few years ago, she hit rock bottom. She'd come home from long shifts, lock herself in her room, and just stare at the ceiling, too numb to even cry. She told me, I felt like a ghost, like I was here but not really living. Therapy helped some, but she still felt stuck. Then one Sunday, our pastor talked about praying through tough times, and she decided to try it. She started with 8 minutes before bed. She'd light a candle, sit on her floor, and whisper to God about her day, the patients she couldn't save, the guilt she carried, the fear she'd never feel normal again. At first, she said it felt awkward, like talking to a wall. But she kept going. One night, about a month in, she felt this quiet warmth, like someone was sitting with her, listening. She told me, I can't explain it, but I knew it was God. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel so alone. Lisa's depression didn't vanish overnight. She still has hard days, but those 8 minutes became her lifeline. She says they remind her that God's bigger than her pain, and that keeps her going. Now she's even started painting again, something she loved as a kid but gave up when depression took over. That's what prayer can do. It doesn't just ease the hurt. It opens doors to joy you thought were locked forever. Why God cares about your depression. Sometimes when you're deep in depression, it's easy to think God's too busy for you. The world's got wars, hunger, disasters. Why would he care about your quiet struggle? But here's the truth. God doesn't rank problems. To him, your heart matters just as much as anything else. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus says, Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That's you he's talking to. The weary, the burdened, the one who feels like they're carrying a mountain. He made you. He knows every tear you've cried, every thought that's kept you awake. When you pray those 8 minutes, you're not bothering him, you're coming home. And he's waiting with open arms, ready to trade your heaviness for his peace. Keep going, even when it's hard. There'll be days when 8 minutes feels like too much. Maybe you're too tired, too angry, or too hopeless to pray. That's normal. Depression fights dirty. It wants you to give up. But even on those days, try this. Just sit there. Set the timer, close your eyes and say, God, I've got nothing today. Be with me anyway. That's enough. He doesn't need perfect prayers, just you showing up as you are. And if you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. God's not keeping score. Start again tomorrow. The beauty of those 8 minutes is they're always there, waiting for you to pick them back up. A final thought. Depression is real, and it's tough. No one's saying 8 minutes of prayer will erase it like magic, but it's a start, a small, steady step toward light. In a world that's loud and chaotic, those 8 minutes are your quiet space with God, a chance to breathe, to rest, to hope. Give it a try. Sit with him tomorrow morning or tonight before bed. Pour out your heart, or just be still. Let his grace meet you where you are. You're not alone in this. God's with you, and with every 8-minute prayer, you're letting him carry you closer to peace. One day, you'll look back and see how far those little moments brought you. Until then, keep praying. Keep trusting. His love is stronger than the darkness, and it's yours, just 8 minutes at a time. After watching, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. I have many good videos to share. Learn to give, and God will give you peace.